Another fire has broken out on the Cape Flats. The city of Cape Town says crews responded to a blaze in the Joe Slovo informal settlement in Langa late last night. The fire spread rapidly in strong winds despite efforts of 6 fire engines and water tankers. At least 10 fires have broken out in informal settlements across the metro over the past week. For more on the story, we cross now to SABC News reporter Vanessa Poonah. A very good afternoon to you, Vanessa. What's the latest where you are?
Nompu, yes, good afternoon to you. Yet another devastating place, Nompu. We've covered fires for the past week, each and every day. So far, 2 people have lost their lives in fires, one in Umzamo in Strand and the other in Vrygrond in Mitchells Plain. And at the moment here at the Joe Slovo informal settlement in Langa, I mean, you can just see the sheer numbers of people trying to rebuild. We have it estimated 300 informal structures that have been razed to the ground. And as always, people are furiously trying to salvage some of the fire debris. I mean, I've spoken to some of the residents just now and they're telling me that they have absolutely nowhere to go, no money to do anything with, and their biggest need at this moment in time is building material. I also spoke to another lady telling me that she has had family down here from the Eastern Cape. They came to visit for the festive season, but now that this tragedy has struck, she has absolutely no way to get them back home again. So, of course, a devastating fire yet again. I'm joined now by one of the affected residents, Abungile Mateze. Abungile, you were telling me just now that the need in your community now is extremely great. You are trying to rebuild from whatever you can find in the fire debris.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing now. We're using the bent stuff so that we can have something to sleep on, because at the moment we know what sometimes the government makes promises that they don't fulfill, so we can't wait for that. But what they should know is that we need the material. We need the material to rebuild. That's the most important part.
I also spoke to one of your fellow residents saying that this area of Joe Slovo, you were supposed to have been beneficiaries, or you should have been next on a list, because I know just over there we have the N2 Gateway Housing Project, and we've heard that since there have been formalized housing in this area, the fires have not been as big as what we've seen in the past. Is this the case for you?
Yes, it is the case for me, because ever since the government stopped building houses for us, there are more incidents of fires. So now what I can say is, if the government could continue to build houses for us, I believe that we could get less fire disasters like this. That's the main thing. The government should continue. As much as there's no land to rebuild, but we can move if there is opportunities for us to move.
Because that's always a question mark. Many communities are reluctant to move. They don't want to move from the spot, in fear that somebody else may take their plot. And you're saying that you are quite prepared to do that as this community?
Yes, I think we are. I believe no one wants their houses to be bent over and over and over and over again. I mean, we need to grow. We need to stop focusing on one thing. We need to move on with our lives rather than stressing with fire and all of this stuff. But we need to move on with our lives. That's the main thing. The government should continue building houses. It doesn't matter if we have to move. If we have to move, we have to move. We can't struggle like this.
Abungile, I'm going to leave you to it. I know that I've seen you trying to get your things together there. Thank you for speaking to me. One of the affected fire residents, Abungile Mateze. And of course, I see just behind us, the MMC for Human Settlements is also on site. We'll try and catch up with him a little later on, Carl Popham. But also somebody who has been on the ground for the entire week and even last week is Ali Sablé from the Gift of the Givers. Ali, you have been inundated, and of course you were saying that we thought the Masiphumelele fire, which took place on Monday, was a big fire, but this one having affected over 300 people. You were on site even last night. I saw your videos of the shacks burning around you. This would have been the biggest one that you've responded to this week.
11 fires in 9 days, and just when we thought the Masiphumelele one was the major, when we got on site last night, we could see the devastation of the fire. In the Masiphumelele way, the fire started at one point and spreading through the informal settlement. Yet when we got on site here yesterday, we saw there was 3 points. There was no ways for these people to save anything. Everyone was trying to escape through the narrow pathways, people were grabbing stuff and they were encouraged not to go back in as they were scared they were going to get trapped. And you could see the total devastation here behind me today. We are here on site today. We are engaging with the community leaders to see how we can fast track the humanitarian assistance. Give to the Givers team has committed, as we have done for the other fire sites, for the next 7 days. And we hope this will be the last one before the year ends. But our teams are on the ground to assist those families, and our trucks has just arrived to render that humanitarian assistance.
Ali, of course, we've heard people here saying that their biggest need at the moment is building materials. I mean, there are at least a few hundred people here that are braving the hot conditions who may not have enough resources. I mean, I just see just behind us that one, structure is going up again, but not everybody has the resources to rebuild so quickly. What happens to those people who are left without shelter?
You know what's so sad? People are trying to put a roof over their head by this evening. They're using all some of the burn materials. They're just shrugging it off and trying to rebuild their structures because they don't want to sleep outside again. Last night they stayed the whole night out. We do know the National Minister of Human Settlements is visiting the Western Cape today. The Deputy Minister was yesterday afternoon. Behind me you see the MMC for Human Settlements. People want closure, and as the gentleman said before him, they wouldn't mind moving immediately because it's not nice year after year trying to rebuild your home. And for the trauma the kids are going through at the moment, it's in many of the informal settlements we find people have lost lives as well. So we hope there can be some conclusion, because for this festive period this has been the busiest fire season we had.
Over 1,500 people affected, and that's a modest estimate, Ali.
Most definitely. If you look at the fire in Dunun and Masiphumelele, that figures are close to 1,000 people alone. And these people do not know where to rebuild their lives. Some of them are sleeping out in the road. We saw yesterday in some of the informal settlements, people making along the pavements as well, until they can get that few rands to build structures again. But we know there's been a commitment from national government to provide those people with the starter kits. But we hope that's a temporary solution, and the permanent one should be a brick and a mortar house for them to live a decent life in the future.
Ali, I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you so much, of course, for your time. Ali Sablay, their gift of the givers, who are at this moment preparing and delivering hot meals as well as blankets, etc., to the community. But I'm joined now by the community leader in the area. So if you will just join us over here, you can just tell me, this fire broke out at about after 8 o'clock last night. And as a community leader, what would be your biggest concern at the moment? Some of the residents told me that at this point they are needing building materials. So you can just tell me what, from a community leader's point of view, sir, do you think is needed right now?
Yes, thank you to have this opportunity. Yes, but the condition that we find ourselves in is not the good condition. As you see that the fires, every year here there is a fire, but maybe if you may ask about the plans of the provincial government, what are they plans? Because they know that there is a fire, and those people that are vulnerable, they make their situation worse. Because these people that they are residing in the shacks, most they are also vulnerable. And that what do you think when there is also fire? What actually the condition that maybe you would expect in that type of condition? And that the only way that it has to uplift the life of the people, it should be the houses. Why actually the people has to stay in this condition, and that even the provincial government knows about this type of the condition that the people living in. But actually, why they cannot actually improve the lives of the people? Only things that they are looking at their voters. We will vote for them, but after voting for them, actually, what about those promises that the service delivery, the uplifting of the lives of vulnerable people? Actually, what about those things when actually we have been already voted for them?
Mr. Kobesa, thank you so much for your time and for your sentiments there. Of course, there we listening to the community leader here in Joe Slovo Informal Settlement, saying that they cannot go through fires, shack fires year in and year out, saying that a more permanent solution, a sustainable solution is needed, not just for this informal settlement, but we've mentioned there just now when we spoke to Ali Sablé, it started off on Monday in Masiphumelele. We've seen a fire claiming a life on Christmas Eve in the Wachibik informal settlement in Umzamo. Yesterday, we've seen an elderly, or rather a middle-aged gentleman losing his life in a shack fire in Vrygrond near Muizenberg. And of course, then last night, this fire broke out, leaving over 300 shacks and informal homes lying in ruin, and hundreds of people here in Langa alone. Joe Slovo still struggling this morning, trying to rescue what they can from the fire debris, and also others already trying to rebuild from the ashes.
Yes, devastating indeed. My colleague there, Vanessa Poonah, reporting from Cape Town.